Hello, Council Bluffs Area Chamber of Commerce members. This is Drew Camp, President and CEO of the Council Bluffs Chamber of Commerce. And we're joined today with Representative Charlie McConkey, who's here to talk to us and do a candidate interview prior to the November 3rd election. Representative McConkey, thanks for being with us here today.
Well, thank you, Drew. I want to thank the Chamber for having this. As you all know, I'm Charlie McConkey. I'm a resident of Council Bluffs. I've represented District 15 for the last 6 years. And anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to the questions.
We'll hop right into the questions. And the first one is, what is the top issue Council Bluffs and Southwest Iowa are facing, and how would you propose it be addressed in the legislature if reelected?
Well, we're still recovering from the flood, and now we have the pandemic. Council Bluffs and Southwest Iowa needs to continue to get its fair share of state resources. And I want to continue working with my colleagues in the legislature to make sure we do that.
Okay. And then when you kind of look at, say, statewide issues versus more, regional, this is more of a statewide level. What issues do you see statewide needing to be addressed, and how will you work to resolve them once again if reelected?
Well, first of all, as I mentioned, the pandemic, we have to take steps to get the pandemic under control, so we can lighten the load around our necks and get businesses back to work. Until we receive a vaccine is in place, we need to increase testing and contact tracing and to minimize the spread, where we can get back to work. And if we don't, more businesses will fail and Iowans won't have jobs to get back to.
And that's especially important. And, in my previous life over in Ames doing public policy there, I know we'd had conversations about a multitude of different things. And that was always one of the big things, was workforce development, making sure those jobs were there. And that's important now as ever with in the midst of a pandemic. And what do you see as the biggest opportunity for the state going forward?
Well, we're a resilient people. And, it's essential the business continue to operate. And these challenges has opened up. I think this challenges open up opportunities for businesses. Some things can be done. They realize some things can be done outside the office. Schools are making available online resources, and we need to expand broadband. That's a huge issue in our state. We may see people and businesses wanting to locate throughout our community, and if we make broadband more options available.
And that's one of those things, as part of the Iowa Chamber Alliance, that's the 18 largest chambers in the state of Iowa, tens of thousands of members throughout the state, representing very large to small businesses. That's always one of our big issues. And with the pandemic, that's been especially apparent, with remote learning and remote work. So we're always happy to hear that issue brought up, because that's one we look forward to working with the legislature on going forward. If reelected once again, how do you see yourself working with the chamber and the business community to kind of accomplish your goals and objectives?
Well, I know how important it is to stay in touch with the chamber, so we can identify ways to improve the town and offer better places to live and work, and bring more opportunities for businesses. And like I have in the past, I've always worked closely with the chamber, the city council, the mayor of both cities, and the board of supervisors with any legislation that is proposed on the floor. I get in contact with them and let them know what legislations is out there and what effects it could have on the community.
And kind of along those similar lines, but some of the top policy issues that we look at as a Chamber of Commerce, they're kind of centering, on income tax reform, economic development assistance mechanisms like the tax credit programs through Iowa Economic Development Authority and the Economic Development Authority budget in general, tax increment financing, which is, obviously kind of a local issue and tool that they have at their disposal, as well as placemaking initiatives that invest in quality of life and attractive pieces that make and provide amenities for the community to grow and prosper and attract people and also retain them. So how would you work to address those issues and partner with the business community in doing so to move those forward?
Well, I think the community's done a great job on the placemaking. managing areas, designated areas. Examples: the Hoff Center, Hannafin Playland Park, with the installation of the new playgrounds. And what that does is, anytime you make a place more amazing and fun to be at, first of all, you make the citizens happy, and then it's a great place to attract businesses. So I think that placemaking, we've done a great job. I know you guys in the city will continue to do that kind of work. And one of the tools that I think is most maligned by the legislation is the TIFI, tax increment financing. That's a real important tool for towns like Council Bluffs and Cardinal Lake to draw businesses in, because we're in the middle of the road on our taxes as all the states. Even with the 10 years ago when they reduced the business property tax, that helped, but that didn't solve the problem. The whole idea behind that was to make it attract businesses, make it more affordable, and grow the cities and the counties and the state. Then they'll make up the difference. And then the state gives a backfill, and I'm afraid they're looking at reducing the backfill, and that program hasn't worked. So I believe I'm going to support tax increment financing, because I know how important that is for us to compete across with Omaha across the river.
And that's especially important as we look at a local tool with using tax increment financing, urban revitalization as part of our local matches, as part of the programming that we pair with the Iowa Economic Development Authority on our state and local assistance for expansions and for new projects. That's a critical piece. We often are using tax increment financing and urban revitalization components to make those local matches as required by state law. And that's something that, it's different place by place. There has been some bad actors in the past, but, in Council Bluffs, we tend to do these things the right way.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, there's a lot of critics on that, because it says it reduces funding to other areas in the state. They had no say in the tipping, and then there's abuse. Tipping of public buildings is really hard to do, and it really isn't feasible. There's more hoops to jump through. And that's one of their biggest problems. And towns have done it. I mean, we've had small towns that tip their downtown. Well, it made sense for those small towns to grow their businesses. I don't want to mention the town, but we're talking a 3-block area. It's a small town, and their businesses is from tourism, and and then that it made sense for them to do that. So, but yeah, the abuses I think are very small, but what we get out of it will more than make up for that.
And the backfill pieces, I'm glad you mentioned that. We don't need to go too much down those roads, but those are two key pieces. There's the property tax backfill, which is hugely important to schools, counties, and cities.
Yeah.
But then there's also the TIF backfill that goes back into fill that school increment in any tax increment project. And we won't get into details of TIF. If you need an explanation, give me a call. But those are things that are important to note too, and we always are talking about protecting.
Yeah, I understand the backfill there, and that's one of the reasons why some of the legislators are, they feel like it cuts funding throughout the state when one area depends heavily on TIFs.
And the next question we have is, what unique skills do you bring to the position?
Well, first of all, I'm not afraid of hard work. I lived in this community all my life. I worked in a foundry for over 31 years and ran my own business. So I understand what people are dealing with. And, and I'm always making myself available. But, that's one of the reasons I understand what it takes for a small business to run and how difficult it is for it. But I think that's one of my huge benefits. I've been on both sides, as an employee and employer.
And the last question we have for you is kind of selling yourself is, why should voters cast a ballot for you on November 3rd or, starting here absentee next week?
Well, I like I mentioned before, I'm not afraid of hard work, and I understand. I've lived in this district, and I was born in Carter Lake. I lived in Council Bluffs all my life. My family's here. I understand what people are dealing with. I remember back working for minimum wage and with a wife and a kid, and I know how tough that is. That's almost impossible, and it's very stressful. So, I'm available. I always have been, and I will continue to be available for my constituents or anybody to call if they need help navigating, the government institutions. Some of them can be tough, or just any questions at all. I deal with federal to state to city, and sometimes I might be stepping on, you can ask the mayor, I might be stepping on his toes sometimes, but we always get something worked out. We work together. We work really good together. I've worked really well, stayed in touch with the chamber, the city council, the mayor of both cities, and work with the board of supervisors. So I'm going to continue working hard for my district. And, I believe that's what a representative should do. Just make life better for the people.
And that's what we're going to try to do here on behalf of the business community at the Council Bluffs Area Chamber of Commerce. We really look forward to kind of emphasizing the importance of public policy going forward. And along those lines, Representative McConkey, we thank you for taking the time to talk with us today, and best wishes and be well.
Well, thank you. It was my pleasure, and I appreciate what you guys do. Thanks again.